Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to GameVer. We're taking a look at helicopter tips and tricks for Battlefield 4. We've been playing the beta non-stop, and we have some awesome techniques for you to help you dominate on the battlefield. So let's take a look and have some fun. So first things first, before you become that awesome helicopter pilot that's going to dominate the battlefield, I recommend you set the proper controls. For me, I prefer editing the default controls to something a little bit different. I did not like the default controls in Battlefield 4's beta simply because the altitude adjustment was actually on the left stick, and that meant that you had to control altitude as well as rotation of the helicopter all on one input. I didn't like that, so putting the altitude on the triggers separate from the controls of the helicopter makes it a lot easier to actually fine-tune your altitude and get the shot lined up on your victim, of course. So what I'm going to recommend here is that you change the heli buttons to the veteran setting and then the heli sticks to the South Hull setting. So that's going to separate the altitude onto your trigger button so you can go up and down with the triggers, and then it's going to allow you to control the actual movement of the helicopter with your sticks, which makes it really nice to fine-tune your aim to make sure you get the drop on the bad guys that much quicker, because as you know, in Battlefield it's all about speed and who gets their shot off first and who is the most accurate. So one of the biggest misconceptions about the helicopter is the way it climbs. A lot of players, when first getting into the helicopter for the first time, will expect the helicopter to just climb by simply pointing the nose up, and that's not true at all. In fact, the opposite happens. When you point the nose up of the helicopter, you're actually falling backwards. So the real way to climb with a helicopter is to actually level your helicopter first, and then use the triggers to go up or down in altitude. So by pointing the nose up, again, I can't stress this enough, it actually will make you fall backwards and lose control. So make sure you keep your helicopter as level as possible, and then start climbing with the triggers, and then you're good to go. You can make sure you get the beat on your enemies, get the proper height on them, because I prefer being up higher than my enemy as much as possible, especially when going up against other helicopters, because you have a major advantage, because they're not sure where you're at. The first place they look is below them, and then by the time they look up, boom, they're dead. So you want to be the best helicopter pilot ever, and with this knowledge of the nose being pointed up and the helicopter actually falling backwards, you can use this knowledge to your advantage. So for instance, if a tank is down below you and you're flying over it, but you're not matching speed with the tank and you're going to overshoot it, you can actually pull back on the stick, point your nose straight up in the sky, fall backwards and lose speed, and then quickly readjust, and guess what? The tank's no longer behind you, it's in front of you again, and you can start releasing hell on that tank. So if you want to be an awesome helicopter pilot and highly decorated in Battlefield 4, be known as a team player. Make sure at the beginning of the match you get your teammates loaded up in your helicopter and then take off as quickly as possible towards the objective that has not been grabbed, which is usually the central objective on the map. I do this a lot on the Siege of Shanghai map. I make sure I get loaded up, quickly get up in the air, go straight for the large skyscraper in the center. You can't miss it, of course. And then I let my teammates jump out of the helicopter and grab the objective. You can also be a hero in the helicopter by using the helicopter to capture the airspace around flags. A lot of people don't realize that the helicopter is a really good tool to capture flags and objectives in the game. So if you drop off your teammates at an objective, make sure you stick around, hover around the flag for a while, capture the flag, earn yourself some points, and secure that objective for your team. And even though you're beginning to become a master of the helicopter and a major threat to the enemy team, they always know this. So when you're in a helicopter, keep in mind it's always like an open invitation to take on major threats and major heavy fire, because you're saying, look, I'm a helicopter, shoot me down, I'm a major threat to your team, so go ahead and shoot me. So keep this in mind and be prepared to have an escape route to get out there quickly and then come back in and then flank the enemy team. And every now and then, and when I say every now and then, I mean all the time, you will actually get a lock-on warning that tells you that there's an incoming rocket from the enemy team. So keep in mind that this signal is there to warn you and allow you to have time to use your IR flares. Sometimes you don't get the time and you have to ditch your helicopter, but those are rare circumstances if you're extremely vulnerable and extremely close to a ground soldier. So by now you've taken out some ground soldiers, you've taken out some tanks, you're gaining that confidence, but the question is, how many helicopters have you taken down? That's the ultimate test of any helicopter pilot, is helicopter versus helicopter action. I hope you guys like these helicopter tips and tricks I gave you today. I want to thank you guys for watching as always. I hope these come in handy for you when you're in those intense battles in Battlefield 4. And if you have any tips of your own, go ahead and leave a comment or post a video response. I would love to hear what you have to say, as I'm still learning a lot about the air combat in Battlefield and really perfecting air combat in the game. So we're going to be doing more of these tips and tricks videos in the future, so be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/gameverb. As always, I can't thank you guys enough for watching, and see you guys next time.